My name is Jan Bloem, International Sales Manager for Freedom Scientific Vispero. Welcome everyone to this presentation about Focus Blue. And I appreciate that everyone is here on this late afternoon on the first day. And we are starting in a few moments that everyone can relax and settle down. I would say take a cup of coffee or something. And then many thanks that so many people have attended. Let's see. It is 16:32. For the people who can see, the sighted people, there is a camera, and you can then see the Focus Blue 14, what I am using for this presentation. And for the non-sighted people, hello.
Hello.
Hello, Olivier. How are you?
Fine. Nice to be here.
Yeah, thank you very much. So I will. Hello. How are you?
George from Greece.
Yes, George. How are you?
1,000 years haven't seen each other.
Yeah. Whoa. Well, I'm not that old, George, but sorry that I look so old. But...
Well, it looks like being like that. Haven't seen you for a long time, dude.
No, that's so.
Everything okay, right?
Yep. I will now unmute or mute everyone, and then later on we can open up the discussion again.
Okay. I'm muting.
Okay. Bye. Thanks very much. So everyone is muted. So welcome. I will start this presentation about Focus Blue. Well, the Focus Blue is the Braille display manufactured by Freedom Scientific Vispero. And I'm here in the room also with my co-host, Jim Porsche. We are doing the presentations here out of the Barendrecht office these days. And the Braille displays are the Focus Blue. That's the topic for today, is the Braille display from Freedom Scientific already for long. We are now on the 5th edition of the Focus Blue generation. You can see that we have it in 3 versions, a 14 cells display, what you can see by the camera. Then we have a 40 cells 40, and also the 80 cells version. All Braille displays have the same features. So the firmware is the same, only the size is different. You see the design is really the same, also that you have bumpers on the left and the right hand side, and you have a ergonomic Braille key display or keyboard on top of it, with in the center a menu button, and then you have underneath the Braille cells you have the space bar, and then you have on top of the Braille cells you have the cursor routing keys. And then next to the Braille cells, you have on top in the same line as the cursor routing keys, you have a circle-shaped button. That is the nav mode button. And then underneath the nav mode button, you have the nav rocker keys. That's a tumble key, what you can press up and down. And then you have on the front keys, you have the thumb keys, what you operate with your thumb. When you place your fingers or your hand naturally on the Braille display, your fingers are automatically nicely positioned on the Braille keyboard. It is nicely shaped. Then your thumbs are automatically landing on the space bar, and then underneath you feel the thumb keys. From left to right, you see on the 14 cells is the selector key, then the up and down the rocker bar, and then you have the pen left, then you have the 2 shift keys, you have the pen right key, and then you have the rocker bar up and down, and you have the right selector key. On the 40 cells, it is different, that the penning buttons are positioned far left and far right. And on the 80 cells, we have multiple rocker bar keys on the front, that enables you, since you have a wide position Braille line, that you can have your hands on multiple positions, and then you can reach conveniently a rocker bar. All the Braille displays have a mini SD card inside, and that is positioned on the left-hand side. It is difficult to get it out and also to have enter it, and that is done on purpose in a way. Also to keep it inside and to keep also it not falling out, because if you are pressing it, well, when you have experienced, it is a little difficult to get it out, but it can also jump automatically out, and then you get lost it easily. But it is on the left-hand side. The sizes are quite big. We started in the beginning with 8 GB, but at this stage they are not for sale anymore, so they are already up to 16 GB. But you're free to change that, of course. Then you have on the left-hand side also the power button, and you use the power button by pressing and holding it for a while, and then you feel that the Braille displays or the Braille cells are opening up, and or you feel it then that they are opening up, and then you see that already the that you see that the time is automatically showing up on the Braille display. And that's a very nice feature on the Braille display on the Focus, that you read the time. At this stage it is 16 semicolon and then 37. And what also very neat is that you see the seconds running. So when you are doing, for example, a recording on the radio or with a podcast, for example, then you can really be on time, on the hour or on the second, very careful to do a recording or a time-consuming task. The Braille display has on the left-hand side also a connector for the USB-C cable, and that is very useful. That we are all well known with the previous or with other USB connected devices. When you have a mini with a micro SD or USB card or cable, that you have users that are not really keen, or they don't know which side it is, and they push a little bit too hard, that the connector can get corrupt. With the USB-C version of the cable connector, that is not an issue anymore, because you can enter it in both ways. The Focus Blue Braille displays can operate or connect to a device via the USB cable or via Bluetooth, and you can connect up to 5 Bluetooth connected devices, and you can simply on the fly change to a device connected by holding down the menu button in the middle between dot 1 and dot 4, and then press either the hold down like a shift key, dot 1, dot 2, or dot 3, or dot 4, or the 5 to the similar connected devices. You can do that also via the menu of the built-in menu of the Focus, but this is the short key. I will discuss later the built-in features in the menu more in detail, but we are proud that we have the Focus made with a built-in scratchpad, and that is a really functional, simple functional, but very powerful editor. And it is so powerful because it is so easy. You can only make simple notes, but you can also search on it. You can copy, paste, and text while using it. And you can even also switch with a shortcut key to a last open file. And that really makes it very powerful for students or for people who make notes while reading a book, and then you want to make notes of the book in a separate file. you can simply switch backward and forward to that note file or the file to make notes, and then you can even copy paste from one file to another, like you are used to also in your word processor. I will show that later on, but feel free to try it out yourself later on as well if you have the opportunity to have a Focus Blue on your fingertips. The Focus Blue is really powerful in combination, of course, with the screen reader JAWS for Windows. Well, yesterday we heard Eric Demery already in a presentation about JAWS 2022, and just before this session, Eric was discussing Fusion 2022, and with both software apps, the Focus Blue is really compatible. And that's the advantage of having one company behind the powerful product, and JAWS is really capable of having unique features in combination with the Focus Blue Braille display. I give you one example, that is the Braille study mode, for example. That is really powerful in combination with the nav mode buttons and the cursor routing buttons, that you can really hear the spoken version of a Braille character, or even the spoken version of a word, what is then displayed on your Braille display. I don't want to discuss today in-depth JAWS, because therefore I really want to refer you to the presentation of Eric. But he showed you really a nice feature, and I want to repeat it today within JAWS and Fusion, that we are able to navigate nicely and quickly within a mail message. When you are having a mail conversation with some people, or in a mail discussion group, for example, then it is very comfortable to quickly move from content to one mail message to the content to the previous mail message. And therefore you have the quick navigation key N within JAWS. But when you have the privilege of using the Braille display, you can set with the nav mode button the when you have opened this mail message, you set with the nav mode button the function to navigate in a mail message. Then when you press the up and down buttons of the nav rocker key, you can simply jump also directly to the next mail thread and to the previous mail thread. It's really unique and really powerful, and it shows the combination between that the relationship between JAWS and the Focus Blue is very powerful. Another nice way of using the Focus Blue Braille display, especially the 14 and 40, is in combination with smartphones or tablets. And we are all in the blind community, we are using iOS devices the most, but also Android devices. They are very powerful and also very popular. And we are connecting with the BrailleBack product easily, and also with the iOS devices. And we made it also very simple now for the users to connect to a device via Bluetooth. In the past, we were always doing, or you had to put in a PIN code. And well, it's not so complicated. It's also, it is, everyone knows the PIN code, that is 4 zeros, but it can sometimes give you also a little bit a problem when you're not easy in, when you're not fast enough to put in the PIN code, then you could lose the connection, you had to repair again, etc. Within the latest update of the firmware of the Focus Blue, we enabled pairing without the PIN code. And that is very useful for people who have only one Braille display in the room, for example, to pair. Because when you have multiple Focus Blue displays in a classroom, for example, then it can be quite tricky. But when you are on your own and for a private use, it is very neat to do that. When you want to pair your device with a Bluetooth device, then you simply go into VoiceOver, or on a Windows machine, you go to devices and then connect the Bluetooth device. And when you see the Bluetooth ID of your focus, and I will show you also how to check the Bluetooth ID. That is when you press the menu button, and then you read focus, and then here it is 14, and then you read immediately BT, and then with a number, and that is the Bluetooth ID. And when you see that ID and also on your Bluetooth device, then you know that you are pairing the right Focus Blue Braille display. When you are clicking on pair, or when you in VoiceOver, I think it's out of my head, this is join, then you don't need to fill in this pin code anymore. It is automatically paired and you can use it immediately. So that is a really powerful update in the latest update of the firmware, and it makes you also easy to connect with your smartphone. When you have connected it, for example, with your iPhone, I want to really express also our thanks to Apple, because it is Apple who is dictating or really putting all the key commands in VoiceOver for the Braille displays. Of course, you would like to have some influence, but Apple is Apple. So we are very happy how they did it for the focus. And I want to briefly touch some unique features. The nav rocker keys on each side of the Braille cells, they are really powerful and used a lot on the Apple devices. On the left, or on the right, sorry, those keys, the nav rocker key up and down, they are really used to flick left and flick right, so with the fingers. So that makes it really fast to navigate through the items on your screen, but also in an app. So you can go from button to button, or from edit field to edit field in WhatsApp or in all other apps. So that is quite a powerful feature. When you want to activate a button or a double tap, perform a double tap, a fingertip on the display or on the iPhone, you can simply press the nav mode button. And that is really easy. You only need to do it with one press of the button, and then you have performed a double tap action. The left nav rocker key, that is the key, it's to perform a vertical flick and right. So how you have positioned the rotor, for example, and that is to read characters or word or whatever words. Then when you press, then use the left nav rocker key, then you perform a flick up or a flick down, and then you're reading letter, character by character, or word by word. Very powerful and also very easy on this Focus Blue Braille display. The combination with the spacebar and the Braille keypad is unique for the Focus, since also the spacebar is uniquely positioned in a kind of edge. So it feels very natural when you lay your finger or your thumbs on the spacebar. And we all know the key or the chord commands in iOS. For example, the chord command S will bring you to the status bar, and then you can read the time, always very nicely, but also the power ahead, the status of your, or the level of your battery. You navigate within the status bar, of course, with the nav rocker key on the right. And to leave the status bar, you can do it by performing the home button, that is the spacebar H, but you can also use it with the back button, and that is to press the left selector key. And that is really unique on the Focus Blue, to where they have Apple has put nice features on the selector keys. The left selector key is always activating the back button in each application, and that's really easy. So you don't need to identify or find it with your fingers on the left top corner on the iPhone, but simply press it with the left selector key. And the right selector key, that's also very nice, because that is the play pause button, or to pick up a phone call. So it is the simulation of a 2-finger double tap. So that is easily done always with the right selector key. Then you move to the nav rocker key on the right, and that is the simulation of the 3-finger flip, a swipe to the right and to the left. And we all know that you then switch pages on the iPhone. And that is, so no need to do that then anymore with the 3-finger flick right and left, but you use simply the nav rocker key of the rocker bar key on the right. I'm getting confused with the nav rocker key and the rocker bar key, but the nav rocker key are always positioned next to the Braille cells, and the rocker bars, they are at the thumb keys. The left rocker bar key brings the Braille cursor on the top when you press it up, and the Braille cursor down on the off the screen when you press it down. So that's very useful when you're reading a book and you want to automatically go with the Braille cursor to the top of the screen or to the bottom of the screen. A very unique feature also on this iPhone, or on this the Focus, is then also had to come to the top of the screen. That is spacebar 1, 2, 3, and also spacebar 4, 5, 6. But that is in mainly generally also for all the other Braille displays. But due to the nice positioning of the spacebar on the Focus with a convenient way, it is a very useful feature, and you use it quite a lot, I must say. So these are the nicely positioned and also useful features on the iPhone, and we have also put many effort also in Braille back, and therefore also you have it also there, nice features, but they are a little bit more simple in that way. But for the iPhone, it is very convenient. The way of it is now 16:53, so we have some time left. I want to show you also something how to use the internal menu, and that is especially when you want to use the scratchpad. There are many ways, or 2 ways to open scratchpad. The first one is to use it via the menu. When I press the menu button, you firstly read again Focus, then you press the nav or the rocker bar key up, and then you do it twice, and then you read the scratchpad. And when you press then .8, then you open up the scratchpad, and I am now already in a document what is created before, and so that you see already the text. So it will open the last opened or used document automatically. And when you want to go to a new file, then you can do it with a shortcut key, but you can also do it, what I show you now is to do it via the menu, because then you, when you know how to operate and access the menu, you have all the features on hands, and that is much better to start with when you open scratchpad for the first time. Again, you press the menu button again, then you read File, and then you press activate the menu with .8, and then you read the first menu item is New, and when you want to scroll through this menu, you press the rocker bar down, and then you have Open, so you can also open a file what is already stored on this SD card. Then you have a menu item open last. So that is the item the last opened file. Then you have a save menu. Then you have a save as menu. And then you have again a menu item delete. That explains also automatically. And then you have the exit menu. And then you are back in new. I want to tell you that you can open files, but also books. The limitations of in the early phase was a little bit, they were limited, the file sizes of the scratchpad, but now it is opened up to, when you editable files, they can open up to 10 megabyte, and the non-editable files, for example, books in BRL or BRF or BRA format, they can be up to 100 megabytes. So those are really big books. And when you type for 10 megabytes, well, you have typed a lot of pages. So it's really a powerful note taker in this way. I will now press the enter key on the menu item new, and then it will save, ask, do you want to save this text file? And then I say yes. And then I am now. And that is new text. And I press enter. And now this is Murphy's law. It should be opening normally with a new file, but it does not do that. So, oh, it's also giving here some beeps. It's almost a new thing. So I am going back to the menu item, file, I press enter, and a new, and then it will be a new text. And then it is yes. And now I am here back with an empty line. I hope you can see it, the sighted people. You see here a blinking cursor, and then you can type, start your notes immediately. It is really a nice, convenient Braille keyboard. It is really a silent keyboard. It's also unique when you are, for example, in a classroom. It does not make any noise, so you can type silently and you don't disturb your neighbors or your other classmates. I will type here a little sentence. We are in Barendrecht. And that's with full stop. And then I press enter, and I'm back on that new line. With the rocker bar keys, I can move up and down. With the penning buttons, I can navigate, of course, with left and right. But you can also use, like in JAWS, the nav rocker keys to read by line or sentence or paragraph. And you set that with the nav mode buttons, just like also within JAWS. You can also use the key combination, the chord commands spacebar .1 and .2, also to navigate word by word or by character. Or you can do it also spacebar 1, 2, 3 to go to top of document, spacebar 4, 5, 6 to the end of document, spacebar 1, 3 is to simulate the home that you are going to the beginning of the line, and spacebar 4, 6 is to the end of the line. It is all convenient standard note-taking commands, so you are really fast. When you have ever used a note taker, you can also simply operate this scratchpad. Then there are nice features also to select, and you can simply start the selection by positioning your cursor at the beginning of the selection. and then you start the selection with by pressing the left shift with the letter M by marking, and then you press via the cursor routing keys or the other navigation keys. You go to the end of the selection to here to the letter N for we are in, and then you press the left shift with the letter S, and then you see the text selected with underlined with dots 7 and 8. And then you are able to perform any action like copy or cut or even delete by a action with the left shift button. So left and then C, that is dot 1 4. You copy to clips to text to clipboard, and copy with left X, you cut it, and with the left shift and D, you delete the text. I will now copy, so I press left shift and then dot 1 4, and then I move to another place, for example, and I press left shift and V of paste, and the text is there. What you can see the sighted people by the camera, but also when you're reading the Braille, you can do that. When you are reading a book and you have selected text in the book and you want to copy that into another document, you can go there by go to the other document with spacebar with dot 4 6, and then you are loading the document, and then you can simply go there and then you do this with the same, because the text is still to the clip copy to the clipboard. With left shift V, you can copy it into that document. So that's very convenient, and especially for students, it is very powerful. And also, yeah, when I use it personally, also on a exhibition or when you're in a meeting with your focus, that is also very convenient. For example, when you participate in a meeting, you don't need to open up your laptop and then you block the face, your own face, for example. But yeah, it takes no space, etc. And you can make notes and copy it and paste into another document. To complete this whole thing is that you can, when you want to switch back to your copied or your connected device, your PC or a smartphone, you hold down the menu button and then you press dot 1 2, and you are back in the connected. So then you are not discard the item, but you have simply placed it in the background, and you can open it up also with simply the same key command, menu, and then the button 1 2, and then you are back in this Braille in the scratchpad. The way of convenient making it very portable, I forgot to mention in the beginning that the battery capacity of all Focus Braille displays are 20 hours, so that is a long time, and it makes you also very independent of the Braille display or of the power source, and it is also charging via the Bluetooth. No, not via the Bluetooth, but via the USB cable. We are then also coming to an end of this presentation, or via the demonstration of the scratchpad. Then I want to highlight a nice feature of the Focus Blue. What was entered in this new update was the way of in the scratchpad to enable word wrap, and so you have the possibility also always to read words, the complete words, like we are also used with JAWS. Another feature within the new firmware was also the one-handed mode. And yeah, when you are unlucky enough to have the only one hand, you can simply enable that also within the firmware of the Focus Bloem. You read it, it is on top of scratchpad. When you press one time on the rocker bar again, then you read one hand. When you press enter on it, you read off, and when you are pressing down, you read on. You select it with the enter key, and when you have selected the one-handed mode, then you confirm it by leaving the menu with the right selector button. And when you are then performing an action, you always need to close it with the space bar. For example, also now when I press the menu button, it will only be affected when I pressed the space bar. So I'm now in the menu, I read focus, and I will go back to scratchpad. So I press the rocker bar up, and then I am, so that is without using the space bar, because yeah, that is what you can do with one hand. I'm now reading scratchpad, so I press the enter key, .8. And now I need to press, of course, the space bar again, because I could have entered also multiple Braille dots. I press space bar and I am back in my document. I want to now go to the end of the document, and that is by pressing the key combination space bar in combination with space bar chord 4, 5, 6. So I press the space bar and then 4, 5, 6, and then I press the space bar again, and then I'm at the end of the document, and I press the enter, and then or .8, I press the space bar again, and I have created a new line. If I now want to type, for example, the letter W, so that is .2 and then 4, 5, 6, and I press the space bar, and then the character W is positioned. If I want to press the letter or type the letter E, I press .1 and .5, and again the space bar, and I have enabled I've typed the character E. If I want to disable one-handed mode again, I need to go to the menu. So I press the menu button, I press the space bar, and I'm in the file, in the menu of the scratchpad. I press the space bar, or no, the .8, the enter. I press the space bar to activate the enter key, and I'm in the file menu, and I go to exit, and I pressed the nav rocker key. Then I press .8. I press the space bar again, and then it is really, well, alert me. Do you want to save this last changes? Well, I don't want to do that, so I press .1 and then 3 and then 4, 5. We have for no. And I am now back in the main menu of, or at the status bar of the Braille display, because I read time. It is 17:09, so it's 9 minutes past 5. So I want to activate the menu again. I press the space bar, or no, the menu. I press the space bar again to activate. I use the rocker bar keys to go to the one-handed mode. And then I read one-handed mode. I press .8. I activate with the space bar, and then I read it on. Yeah, because it is switched on. I press the nav rocker or the rocker bar to off, and then I press .8 and I press the space bar, and it is off. And I activate it with the right selector key, and I am back to the time. It is 10 minutes past 5 now, so that is the time is continually. I now press the menu bar again, and I'm immediately back in the menu. So I have switched off the one-handed mode. So the other features of this mail or the internal menu, you can look through the by rocker bar. You can change the language into several languages. It is default now. I've set it to English, but you have it in German, of course, and in French, but also in Russia, in Hebrew, and also in other languages, in Norwegian, in Swedish, and Finnish, etc. But you can select that via the language menu. But you can also enable, for example, the flash messages. You can do also the require pin. That is for the default when you still want to have the pin necessary for pairing. That is also possible. Default it is switched off, but you can enable it again. And you can go to several other features. You can set the calendar, you can set the time, etc. You can also change the resistance of the dot, the dot pressure, and sleep time of it, etc. Please keep in mind when you are in a menu item and you have changed something and you want to cancel it, you press the left selector button. And when you want to confirm it, you always press the right selector button. And that is really something. A nice feature, and that is sometimes good to know with the support people, is that you can disable the keyboard, the Braille keyboard. And yeah, some people are asking me sometimes, why do you do that? Well, some people get nervous by typing, or you know, that you by coincidence type or press a button of the Braille keyboard. And therefore we have enabled to disable the Braille keyboard. Well, that is doable, of course. When you press the right nav mode button with the far left cursor routing button, you you are enabling, no, sorry, you are disabling in that way the keyboard lock. When you want to enable it, you press the left nav mode button with the first cursor routing button, and then you see in the status bar of the focus menu next to the type of connection, you see a kind of shaped padlock. And it is very, yeah, also by coincidence you can do that. But when you are then using your Braille display and you have connected it, for example, to your iOS, your smartphone, then the Braille keyboard is not functioning. And that is something what you need to be aware of, especially as they call you when you are one of our resellers. Then you ask the user to press the menu button or open it up, and then press the right penning button, and then you read automatically the padlock sign. Then you know that your keyboard is locked. To disable the keyboard lock, you press the nav mode button on the right with the far right cursor routing button, and you see it disappearing, the padlock, and your keyboard is free to use again. So this is also, yeah, one of the the main features also of the keyboard or the Focus Blue Braille display, especially for a wider one, had the Focus 80. Then people are not really used to use the Braille keyboard, but it can happen. These were in brief the unique features of the Focus Blue Braille display. I am using it privately very much, and I love it very much. I hope that you all liked the presentation and that you have learned something about using the Focus Blue Braille display. And now I like to open the session to have some questions. You can unmute yourself, I think, and if not, then please let me know, and then I will open up the security that everyone can unmute themselves. But please, if you have some questions, then let me know. Well, there are no questions. No. Well, then, on behalf of my colleague Jim Porsche here in the room, we thank you all for participating. We hope you enjoyed it, and we hope to see you tomorrow again in one of our sessions tomorrow. And then we say goodbye and thank you very much.